With the boom of technology in the 21st century, social media has been expanding exponentially. People from all around the world are able to contact and see each other instantaneously and at any time of the day. This is advantageous for many people, as they can connect with loved ones far away. If it wasn't for networks such as Facebook, Twitter, and Skype, many people wouldn't be able to communicate with any of their family. Social media is important for business advertisements and contains an ever-expanding flow of information. However, we suspect such saturation in social media could have dire consequences.
Well, unless you've been living in a cave, you've no doubt had some experience with social media of late. In fact, even if you have been living in a cave, you are still familiar with the basic principles. Really. Cave painting is just a prehistoric form of blogging, with a bit of Flickr thrown in. The fireside gathering is an early form of the user group. And this? Why, it's the early tweet. Yes, social media takes the same social skills we humans have practiced for 10,000 years.
Social media and technology addictions exist. They can lead to severe depression, an introverted personality, and social anxiety. Addictions to games and social networks can hinder an adolescent's ability to learn. Instead of devoting energy to real-world activities and pursuits, a technology addict spends most of his or her time browsing the web or engaging in other electronic activities. This addiction occurs because the part of the brain that creates a rewarding feeling is activated during uses of social technology. Modern society seems convinced that social networks and online gaming keep them connected and thriving socially with all their friends. However, recent studies such as the one described in the book Alone Together by MIT professor Sherry Turkle says otherwise. These studies report that social networks are really more like mutual isolation networks and detach people from meaningful interaction with each other. Some are proposing that reverting back to more frequent face-to-face interactions would increase the depth and importance of many conversations.
Shouldn't you go out and socialize with your friends?
I am socializing, Artard. I'm logged on to an MMORPG with people from all over the world and getting XP with my party using TeamSpeak.
Other recent studies, such as one conducted by Case Western Reserve School of Medicine, links some risky health behaviors such as drinking, smoking, and sexual activity to hypertexting and hypernetworking. This study defines hypertexting as 120 messages an average per school day, and hypernetworking as more than 3 hours a day on social media sites. Researchers say that this overuse is resulting in a sort of high-tech peer pressure. The study reported that nearly 20% of the Midwestern teens surveyed were hypertexters and hypernetworkers.
Since we live in the 21st century, our children have more access to the internet than we can imagine. Their safety becomes a troubling issue. Research says that 1 in 5 teenagers confess that they have received unwanted solicitation on the internet. 25% of children have been exposed to unwanted pornographic material online, and only 25% of those kids told their parents. About 75% of children say they are willing to share personal information in exchange for services. And lastly, 1 in 33 kids received an aggressive sexual solicitation in the past year.
As our world has moved into the 21st century, it is growing ever more apparent that social media technologies are taking a forefront in most forms of communication. Smartphones in the age of the iPod have ushered in a new era of connectivity. It is rare to see anyone these days who does not carry a cell phone at all times. Many of these people have internet phones and are constantly connected to social networks and email accounts. The human brain is not made to be saturated with media 24/7. We are made to think in abstract ways, question our surroundings, and formulate decisions and opinions based on those observations. Many people these days seem to be very self-involved and simply accept their surroundings and take life for granted. Is social media really bringing us closer together, or are we really becoming more isolated? It is not these new technologies and communication that are causing the problem, it is how we all are using them.